Good afternoon and welcome to this month's Climate, Environment, and Health monthly webinar hosted by the MGH Center for the Environment and Health, the MGH Institute of Health Professionals Center for Climate Change and Climate Justice and Health, and Brigham and Women's Hospital. I'm Greg Fury. I'm the Medical Director for Climate and Sustainability at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. So it's an honor to introduce today's session, which is a great follow-up to last month's webinar on regenerative agriculture. For those of you who were able to attend, for those of you who weren't, you can find it online. Today, we're joined by Janina Padula, John Stoddard, Molly Riordan, Kevin Doherty, Sarah Williams, and Peter Martin. They're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to be sharing a really compelling story about a recent initiative to develop a new food product that achieves many goals, including supporting local food systems, the local economy, reducing greenhouse gas emissions through regenerative agriculture and greater plant-based food offerings, and providing healthy plant-forward options to local hospitals and institutions. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our guest for the presentation, Supporting Regenerative Agriculture with Yellow Pea Falafel. Thank you all for being here.
Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome to our presentation on the yellow pea fritter. We'll be talking about its field to fork journey from Maine to Rhode Island, and we're very excited to share this story with you about how our yellow pea fritter supports regenerative agriculture and how it came to be. And then I will start off the introductions. My name is Janina Padula. I'm the Sustainability and Wellness Manager for Sodexo at Mass General Brigham. I'll pass it over to John.
Hey everyone, pleasure to be here. John Stoddard. I'm based in Boston with the rest of you. I'm Associate Director of Food and Climate Strategy for Healthcare Without Harm. So I do all our work nationally around the food and climate connection, particularly around plant-forward menus and healthcare. Kevin?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Doherty. I'm the Director of Culinary Operations and Manufacturing at CommonWealth Kitchen. We do a variety of things from incubating small businesses to working with local farms and doing value-added products. Sarah, maybe?
Hey, everyone. I am Sarah Flewelling. I'm co-owner of Aurora Mills Farm, which I run with my husband and father up in Aroostook County. We're all the way up the last exit on the 95 on the Canadian border. So the peas are traveling all the way from up there where we have, we have an organic farm, and then we also have a grain mill and processing facility.
Thanks, Sarah. And Peter?
Good afternoon, everybody. Peter Martin. I'm the executive chef here at Brigham and Women's in Boston.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to start us off. So there's this project was a journey over 3 years, and we're going to sort of go through the journey, and different folks are going to chime in sort of as like sort of chronologically through the story. I should also say and thank my colleague Molly Riordan, who's here today, who is not on the screen but is with us and is going to share some information on the project sort of towards the end, because Molly also worked on this project with me. So before we get started on the story, I just want to start a little bit on why we do this work. I don't know how familiar folks are with the food and climate connection, but I thought I would start off with some info there. So these two figures show on the right food wastes contributions to global greenhouse gas emissions, and on the left is food productions contributions to global greenhouse gas emissions. So you'll see different estimates, maybe even in the slideshow, but it's sort of roughly 25 to 35% of greenhouse gas emissions globally come from food production. This is a little breakdown of where emissions are coming from in our food system. You can see supply chain up at the top. makes up only about 18%. And, you know, a lot of people think about food miles or transport, and that's only really 6%. So the majority of emissions from food come from production, and that's everything from that red down to the brown. And so we've put a couple little quiz questions in here just to encourage audience participation. And so if folks can just put their answers in the chat to this. So this, you know, this issue around sort of animal protein production has climate implications, also has food security, global food security implications. So the amount of land it takes in order to feed a growing population expected to be 10 billion people. So if people can put their answers in the chat to this question. The raising of livestock for food consumes what percentage of land and generates what percentage of calories and protein? And there's a couple options for you, and I'll wait 15 seconds for folks to throw this in the chat. And Gianna, if you can just give me a consensus of what people are thinking.
So far, we have a mix of A and D.
Okay. I'll give it about 5 more seconds for people to put their guess in the chat. All right, so it sounds like folks were thinking A and D, and the answer was D, if I'm remembering that correctly. So yeah, just the amount of land that it's taking to raise animal products for consumption, and not accounting for a huge part of our diets or nutrition globally. And so, it's incumbent upon the higher income countries at this point to reduce reduce animal products in their diet in order to feed a growing population. Getting down to the hospital level, emissions are categorized in these 3 scopes, and meat procurement falls in scope 3, which is the largest scope that a hospital of emissions of healthcare. So this meat procurement is really and I should say more animal product procurement is really a low-hanging fruit for addressing scope 3, because it's fairly straightforward, where some of these other categories can be more challenging. And then to give this project and this work sort of a regional context, so we have the climate context, the food security context. There's also an effort in New England by Food Solutions New England. This is a coalition of organizations across the region that looks at the ways in which we could supply 50% of the food eaten in New England by New England farmers by 2060. So there's a vision. They looked at land use. They also looked at diet, right? So what type of diet do New Englanders need to eat to be able to make this a reality? And so they developed they looked at 3 different dietary patterns, and the one that is regional resilience is the one that would allow us to reach this goal the quickest. And so here's your second, I think, of 3 quiz questions. So what changes do we need to make in our diet in order to achieve regional resilience? And this is just your guess. Increase consumption of plant proteins, decrease animal proteins, increase vegetables, decrease fats and oils, or E, all of the above. And just go ahead. I'll give everyone 10 seconds to throw your guess in there. And then let us know.
Lots of E's so far.
Lots of E's. This one might not have been quite so hard. So I'm going to move on to the next slide here. And yes, you're right, it's E. And you can see, so the first column on the left shows current levels of meat, poultry, eggs, and plant proteins. And then you also have the daily guidance, the guidance from USDA. And so resilient eating matches the guidance from the USDA. And so that's a 37% reduction in animal proteins and a 21% increase in plant protein. So that's sort of the foundation for this work, why we're doing this work. So today we're going to talk about sort of how this project came to be. And Sarah mentioned, her farm up here on the Canadian border, that first little image you see on the screen. So we're going to talk about how we started with, yellow peas up in Maine, to processing, over to sort of the recipe development, and then how it made it all the way to distribution, and then to healthcare and beyond. So I'll start off just giving you a little bit of information about Healthcare Without Harm and Practice Green Health, who I work for. So Healthcare Without Harm was founded over 25 years ago based on the belief that as the only sector with healing in its mission, healthcare has the opportunity to use its ethical, economic, and political influence to create ecologically sustainable, equitable, and healthy communities. Our mission is to transform healthcare worldwide so that it reduces its environmental footprint, becomes a community anchor for sustainability, and a leader in the global movement for environmental health and justice. I work for our Healthy Food and Healthcare program, and so we work with healthcare across the country on food initiatives related to climate, procurement, community food security, food waste, etc. And you can find, if you go to our Practice Green Health website, the food page, you can see all of our initiatives. On that, I should note that Healthcare Without Harm includes Practice Green Health. That's our membership arm. And we have about a third of all U.S. hospitals in our membership. So for Healthy Food and Healthcare, we have goals. These aren't, again, you can go to our Practice Green Health website to see this. We have a Healthy Food and Healthcare standard, and that's divided into 6 areas of work. But just summarizing that, we have reducing the climate impact from food purchasing. That would relate to our Plant Forward Future program. And then we're also supporting healthcare in creating equitable, regional, and resilient food systems. So those 2 goals together kind of led to this project. And so looking at regional food systems and looking at increasing plant proteins and decreasing animal proteins in our diets and in healthcare and what they're serving. So we applied for a USDA grant, a specialty crop grant. We received that in 2020. We held projects in 4 regions, including New England, and that's what we're talking about today. And so for the project, we're really looking to increase production of plant proteins through the demand for healthcare. And so that's how this got started. And we contracted with organizations that support farmers in each region. So for New England, we contracted with the National Center for Appropriate Technology, which is sort of an odd name for what they do. They really support farmers in their production and in scaling their businesses, developing business plans, etc. Another part of this project was developing a national communication campaign around plant forward eating, the benefits of plant proteins, the fact that you can easily get enough protein in your diet for most of us through plants. So we started here with a market assessment. So working with NCAT, the National Association for Appropriate Technology, I'll just refer to them as NCAT. We worked with them to both look for a product that would work in New England. What's a plant protein that's being produced that we could sort of elevate. And so we worked and identified through NCAT the yellow pea, and we're going to hear much more about the yellow pea and Sarah and her farm. But we also worked to talk to healthcare to see what do they want. So I wanted to just invite anyone from the Brigham to jump in talk about what the priorities were for you in this project.
Yeah, of course. So over at Brigham, we've had a big shift to incorporating more plant-forward options lately. As you may know, there's been countless research articles showing the positive role that a plant-forward diet can play in both disease prevention and in treatment. And we've seen more and more customers educating themselves on the toll that animal-based foods could take on the environment. And we see them choosing additional plant-forward options such as quinoa, oat milk, tofu, smoothie bowls, and more. So one of my priorities as the sustainability and wellness manager is finding new products that are locally sourced that we could keep as a staple item on our menus. This helps to promote the power of a local and plant-forward diet to our customers and to further educate them on the benefits that this has on our environment and their health. And as a system, we've also hosted wellness programs such as Practice Green Health's Plant Powered 30 Challenge, so that we can have the employees be more motivated to eat more plant-based. And the yellow pea fritter has been a large pillar in this initiative. It's proved itself to be a versatile item that's nutritious while also supporting local farms and manufacturers. And I'd like to also invite Chef Peter to speak on the additional components that the culinary team considered when adding this to the menu, such as budget and labor, as well as distributor relationships and more.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We have to take all that into consideration and the education behind it as well to educate the patient and the consumer. We started off serving it on a grill and doing it as a pita with tzatziki, and then we expanded as the product became more available and as people got more educated about it and we're looking for it. We expanded it into our action station, and we use it as a protein on a grain bowl. And then we will be expanding it into our patient menu in 2 weeks as a plant-based option that we'll be offering every day, a new plant-based option to the patient, and we're going to be featuring the yellow pea falafel as well.
Right. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so this project involved obviously Brigham and Faulkner, and then a couple hospitals in the Beth Israel Lahey system, as well as Maine General. And so, talking to them about their needs, knowing that using just buying the yellow pea as a dried product was not going to be feasible for the hospitals in this group. And so we knew that we were looking to create a product, and that's sort of what led us to moving forward on this fritter. So now I want to pass over to our farmer, Sarah, to talk more about the yellow pea and her business.
Hey everyone. Did you guys hear the intro to the about me? I lost internet because I live in rural America. So
Yeah,
we heard it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my internet goes down once a day. Anyway, hi you guys again. I'm Sarah, and I grow the yellow peas, and then we also process the yellow peas. So the peas are one of the crops we grow. We have a whole cropping system for soil health. Yeah, go ahead and change to the next slide. So we're a certified organic farm, but we use regenerative organic techniques, and the pea is a very important component of this. So in addition to peas, which are legumes, we also grow soy, and then oats and wheat and rye and buckwheat. And then we do clover cover crops. Regenerative organic techniques, like I said, we use cover crops and then multiple crop rotations. We do a reduced tillage system. A less invasive tillage technique, as well as everything. All our fields are have cover for the winter, so the soil's not open, so there's not all that erosion. no pesticides or synthetic fertilizers. The peas actually create nitrogen in our rotation, and that nitrogen is our fertilizer. And then we also use pollinator habitat and some animal rotations as available, but such as like, chickens in the field and stuff. But that picture right there is actually some bees in our buckwheat. And the swan's honey, which is a pretty big honey producer, actually had those up in all our fields that have flowers such as the buckwheat and the peas. Next slide, please. Oh. So what are the benefits of farming this way, right? So one obviously is sequestering carbon. And then the second is increasing water holding capacity. So that works both ways, right? Like it's been a really, really wet year this year. So it holds more water. But then also if it's really dry, it's holding more water. So it kind of benefits in the fact that it's protecting us from these really wide swings in weather that we're having. Stop soil erosion. Like I said, we don't keep fields open, protect groundwater because there's not all that erosion, and helps, the crops become more disease and all that organic matter, and taking such good care of all the living organisms within your fields, you produce better yielding crops. So here's a little question for you guys. Yeah,
just put your answer in the chat. What is a pea? And we'll give people like 10 seconds.
Lots of A so far. Somebody said D.
All right, so we can move on. And Sarah, why don't you tell us the answer?
actually kind of a trick question. All right, I'm gonna apologize, you guys. My 5-year-old's gonna be coming in behind us. So while we consider it a vegetable, botanically it's actually a fruit, right? So the pod comes from a flower and has the seed in it. So you see the flower in the middle and the seed pod, which you would consider a fruit, and then the individual seeds, which is what we use to make that product. So it is a fruit, but within that pod is the seed. So I guess I kind of there's that visual. So the field pea, the cool season legume, and it's native to Southwest Asia. And since it is a cool season legume, it's really well adapted to our, cool, wet summer and fall climate up here in Maine. And we actually do have a history of pea production, even though like right now, like Maine's really thought of potatoes and blueberries. It used to grow fresh peas, and actually before the infrastructure went away, had fresh pack facilities up in northern Maine. So now it's mainly used as a cover crop and for animal feed.
Mafka's here.
Okay. So anyway, so a cover crop is grown to protect the soil from erosion during the time of year that it would otherwise be bare. So it can be grown for that. Some people plant peas and then mow them and to hold the soil and build, for soil building and maintaining soil fertility and increasing organic matter. So those two are kind of interchangeable. An inoculant is actually I will buy this and mix it in with my seed, an organically approved inoculant, which is a microorganism used to promote the plant health by forming a symbiotic relationship with the crop. And then they use this to fix nitrogen. So that, and nitrogen fixation is the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen by bacteria to a form that the plants can use in the fields. And the nodules are small growths on the root of the legume, which house those nitrogen fixing rhizobia. So we know that we're doing a good job. We'll actually pull the pea plant out, and seeing those little nodules on the roots tell us that it's doing a good job fixing nitrogen. So, like I said, it's an important part of our whole rotation. Like, we have our whole rotation for soil health. So, it helps in using different crops interrupt pest and disease cycles. So like if you planted the same crop over and over and over again, you would have mold issues with like some legumes, or the same insects that would one of the cereal crops isn't going to want to be with the peas or legumes. And improve sorry you guys. And improve soil health by increasing biomass from different crops and root structures, and it increases biodiversity on the farm. So we kind of went over the fact that it can, the benefit of this is improving soil fertility and soil structure, helping manage available soil moisture, and can control and reduce disease and insect and weed pressure. And it'll improve the grain yield, which we will follow one of our legumes with a cereal such as wheat or oats. So uses for field peas, we kind of went through that they can be used as a cover crop, and then also for animal feed and forage. But then there's also, so we do grow our field peas for cover crop seeds. And before this program, it would be either we'd have our cover crop seed market, such as Fedco seeds, and then we would also have what we didn't sell as cover crop, we would actually sell so now we have our human for the project, as well as milling the pea into flour.
Great.
So,
thank you, Sarah.
Here's some okay.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Your internet's like a little patchy, but we basically heard everything you said. I think the final thing was talking about how at first, prior to the project, a lot of what was grown, the yellow peas that were grown, were going to animal feed. But we knew it was a good, healthy program that could also go to humans. So you heard all about Sarah's great work in growing food regeneratively, protecting our regional food system through those practices. And so what we wanted to do was support that work by making it into a product, bring more income, selling for humans rather than animal feed brings a higher price. And so supporting Sarah's great work and her family's work through turning this into a product available to people here all the way down in Boston. So now I want to invite Kevin to talk a little bit about how we developed this product.
Okay, so I came into this role and the product was already fleshed out by Johnson in Wales. And really what my work was to take it from the benchtop model and get it to scalability through the process that we have here. When we talk about food and product development, often I make a reference to my 5 Ps, which are generally process, product, package, people, and price. And some of what I've worked on with this project are broken down into those little steps from the recipe that I was given. In process, there was a way that we had to handle it for the machinery and little process steps like chilling the dough to get a uniform puck. Pucks is how we refer to them out of the VMAG, was a little step from the bench recipe that we worked up. In the product development stage, we had to work on maybe some of the binding and the taste and the heating validation to make sure that the original ideation was for this product to be a fried product. And it tends to work really well at a higher temp, like 375 fryer. But most large-scale universities and hospitals are at a uniform 350. So we did the work to make sure that we had a good product that was coming out of an oven and doing the validation. Packaging was something in the consideration for the product too, whereas the product's going out in a large-scale food service format. We've also had inquiries for it to be, as it's growing, to be in a retail format. So we're working with it now to work on the packaging that might be right for that. And then people, we've been able to add shifts and create jobs and labor through this project. And really the field falafel, the field fritter has grown in its scale. And we were able to tackle the price with Aurora Mills. Some of the products that we're using by buying direct, we're able to bundle in products that we're also using with our members and get them local from Sarah. So we found an avenue of sourcing locally that we weren't really looking until this product. As far as CommonWealth Kitchen, we're changing our supply chain behavior because this project has allowed us different avenues of distribution that prior to this project, we were trying to work on getting into, or this project has allowed us to expand the products beyond field fritter to some of our member products. So in that avenue, it's opened up some of our mission statement of growing business. And as far as the working with farms and processing, some of the product that we're doing that is farm value added product, we're kind of bundling with inquiries of people that want to buy this product and pairing it with some of the surplus or glean product that we're buying from around the Boston and New England area farms. So there really has been like growth into this project, into some of the other things that were mission aligned here. Product sampling. In the rounds and the discussions of bringing this product forward to partners and people who have interest in it, it's really grown word of mouth, where healthcare without harm was the original, this is what we're talking about here. But now we're in 9 colleges taking on this product with conversation with BPS and Worcester schools and working on child nutrition labels. So, from K to 12 through university and healthcare, it's been a universal product that has had a need that's ticked a lot of boxes for us here. Next slide, please. Okay, and our production and distribution, working with Farm Fresh Rhode Island, it's been a great gateway into, now that we have this product going in and we have this relationship, which is longstanding, the distribution has allowed us to break through some walls of product that's been accounts that have been ideation for us. We've wanted to get in here, and by sending on to this product, we've had good traction getting our member products in along for the ride. And that's about it from here at CommonWealth.
Thanks, Kevin. Yes, I just want to point out to folks, so we have this field pea grown in Maine all the way down to Rhode Island, where we first worked with Johnson & Wales to develop the recipe. And then now we have Farm Fresh in Rhode Island. So all across, from the northernmost point of Rhode Island, or of Maine, all the way to down to Rhode Island, I just love that sort of we have that entirety of New England, or all across New England is folks involved to get this developed. So for us, this was a 3-year grant that began in 2020, ended in May 2023. So that's where the project ended. I want to just invite Molly to give us some reflections. Molly was our staff person that worked most directly on the New England project. So Molly, just if you could give us sort of where this stood at the end of 2020 or at the end of May, that would be great.
Thanks, John. Yeah, we were thrilled that we had a product that was ready to sell in 3 years. You might think that 3 years is a long time to go from an idea to a product on the shelf, or in the cafeteria or in the kitchen, as the case may be, but it actually does take that long. So the fact that 2 of the Brigham hospitals, along with Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, were purchasing the field falafel by October of last year was a huge success. The picture you see here is of the falafel on the salad bar at Beth Israel. So it was an excellent opportunity to use the cafeteria line to get diners excited about local plant-based proteins and climate impact. And we produced several images and marketing materials that I'll share a little bit more about in a second that could be used at point of sale, on screens or posters to educate folks and get them excited about local plant-based protein. A few of the other results by the time that Healthcare Without Harm ended the project, although you'll hear about how the product has continued. First, we were thrilled about the connections that we made, like John said, from Aroostook County down to Rhode Island and in between. There were folks, all the people that you've heard from today, they didn't necessarily know each other before this started. And so the fact that we could build those relationships and knowing that it took really building relationships and seeing things from one another's point of view to develop this regional product was a huge opportunity afforded to us by this project. Second, sales, $7,000 doesn't sound like a lot when you're thinking about the grand scheme of things, but the product was only available for 6 or 7 months for sale before the official end of the project. And that's only from 3 hospitals, and it's one product. So that's a lot of falafel when you see it all together. We're thrilled that the hospitals have been able to make this commitment and are continuing to make the commitment to sharing the field falafel with eaters and patients and staff. Third, on the farmer side, because of Sarah's incredible work and how much she was able to share with our technical assistance partner, NCAT, we were able to produce a farmer-facing guide so that all of those benefits to soil and the potential economic streams for farmers related to yellow peas that Sarah was talking to you about earlier, that other farms in the region could benefit from that as well. So it's not just Sarah's farm that's benefiting from this project. This is an opportunity to increase the number of farms that are using some of her similar practices. Excuse me. And finally, just some of the key lessons that we learned from doing this project. First, that, like I said, it does take a lot of time, 2.5 years to get from idea to sale, but that's the time that we needed to develop the partnerships. Second, like I said, the partnerships were key. Sarah's willingness to employ some complex and expensive technology to clean the peas, for example, or the hospital's willingness to continue to provide feedback on the prototypes. All of that took time outside of everybody's day-to-day. And in doing that, we got to a product that we're really proud of. And finally, no matter how good of an idea this is, if the product doesn't taste good, it doesn't matter how good for the planet it's going to be because people aren't going to want to eat it. So CommonWealth Kitchen's willingness to continue to tweak the product to make sure that it tastes great and is something that people want to eat is really key to keeping this product going. Next slide, please. This is just one of the examples of the marketing materials that we developed. Wanting to share with folks a little bit more about the amount of protein in different plant-based proteins like peas, pulses, legumes, whichever category you want to put that in. And we're not necessarily saying, you can't eat any meat ever, but we just want to raise the fact that plant-based proteins like these can be at the center of the plate. Next slide, please. And this gets to a really beautiful and succinct way of describing all of those benefits that Sarah was describing to you earlier, related to water quality, reduction of greenhouse gases, reducing energy use, improving soil health, which has knock-on effects for the environment as a whole. And it's showing that hospitals, based on what they're purchasing alone, can meet some of their climate goals. Next slide, please. And then this is just a smattering of the great press that we've gotten as a result. And it's not because of me, it's because of all of the other people who are on this webinar and who have shared their work with you, including and especially the folks at Brigham. You know, without that commitment, all of this doesn't happen. So we couldn't be more thrilled for the partnerships and the continued commitment to this product. And so I think that what we want to do next is share a little bit more about what's happened since the official end of the grant period, where I stepped away, but things continued.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, and this is sort of what you want from a project end. So we wrap up our work, but we hope that it doesn't end there, that it keeps going. And so the good news is that it has. And so Kevin, you talked a little bit about this already, but I just want to invite both Kevin and Sarah to just talk about what's happened since May. What has this meant for your organizations, your businesses, et cetera? And why don't we start with Sarah?
Well, I mean, we keep on going. CommonWealth Kitchen, and you know, starting to ramp up. There's been other benefits. You know, such as Kevin purchasing, you know, some of our flour at the.
So Sarah, we're not really being able to hear you, so maybe we can move to
Reminder for, you know, a veggie burger. Anything else? You have anything to add? You can't hear me?
We heard some. Why don't we move
Okay.
to Kevin? If you want to like write in the chat a few things, that'd be good. It's just it's very like spotty. But Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about what's happened since May? Sort of talk about some of these numbers we've got in the slide.
So if at the end of the grant in the initial 6 months, you sold $7,000 worth of these field falafel, we've sold $40,000 since then, since May. We're on our second pallet of raw product from Aurora Mills. We're on our 8th pallet of finished product, or 174,000 falafels made, shipped, and sold. We have MOUs with some large accounts that are committed to continue buying this. And I think we're right at we're actually a little higher than that 3,600 pounds. We're coming up at our 4,000 pound mark of yellow peas processed. And that's created a little bit under 1,000 additional labor hours for our manufacturing staff in here. So it's helped highlight the work that we do here. It's the press and the bundling of the member products has been something we're seeing just exponential growth from where we started to where we are. It's an ongoing story.
Awesome, thank you. And then you had a few recipes to share with us, I think.
Okay. So part of the presentations and the member meetings that we've had in here with clients are, I love the product. I have a falafel. What is this? Why is this different? Aside from the mission, what can I do with it? So part of what we put together were some ideation and menu usage beyond the salad bar, beyond the option for a mezzi platter, though there's one in there. Sandwich applications beyond the pita, you know, a meatless Monday po' boy was something that we ideated. Going into the Hispanic month, we did, it's not on the slide, but we one of our accounts is doing a yellow field pea taco, mezzi platter with ready accessible ingredients, whether it's grilled tofu or tahini, skewers and kebabs, things that you can take this preferably oven baked product and add a little color and ease, whether it's a managed fee account where they're paying by weight, or whether it's an action station to give them ideation of how you use it. And we're getting feedback back, and some people are doing some really interesting things. There's a couple of people are putting them together and making smash patties out of the field falafel. A couple people are putting them there, in like little ready-made salad packs that are grab and go. So we're getting ideation back from what's in the field, and what people are doing with it, and adding it to our deck. It's another slide. No, I think that's what I have. The next one, Chef Peters, I believe.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, and then some final thoughts from the Brigham and how the product's working for you and your plans to continue.
Yeah, the product's been working great for us. It's been a great cooperation with CommonWealth Kitchen. You know, when we have questions or we have some feedback, we go right to them with it. You know, we were looking at different ways to cook it because we don't have fryolators either. We bake the product, and we were trying to get a more concise product out of it, more even product. How do we get a good brown to it? And Kevin was great, you know, helping us. Hey, why don't you flatten it a little bit? You can get both sides, and it really made a difference in the cooking of it and the moistness of it when we served it. So, you know, and that's opened up our relationship with CommonWealth Kitchen, where we want to start looking at more products and working with CommonWealth even more. Yeah, here at Brigham's.
Right. Thanks, Peter. So that's our journey in a nutshell. Just wanted to thank everybody. I also wanted to just offer the reflection that, you know, I love this product and story because, you know, again, I mentioned it's from all the way up in Maine. So we're with this product and through all the work that everyone did to get here, including the hospitals sticking with us over 3 years with different product ideations, you know, everyone working together to get this to be an actual product that we're now seeing sales of beyond healthcare, and the folks that, you know, really stuck with us. You know, this is affecting a community up in Maine, a farmer up in Maine. Hopefully we're spreading those techniques and spreading the production practices so that we're keeping resilience in our food system. And then all the way down to CommonWealth Kitchen, that's employing folks in communities that have been underserved for years traditionally in Boston. So just all the different ways that this project and all the players working together have now affected, you saw Kevin said 800 or something like that additional labor hours. So this, you know, started with this one little, you know, field pea, and now after 3+ years seeing all these great results. So I just want to thank everybody. I know we have a few minutes left in case there's questions or discussion, and I'll probably just kind of hand it over to Greg or whoever wants to kind of take it from here.
Yeah, great. So I want to start off by, first of all, thanking all of you. I think I mentioned at the beginning that I think this is an incredible story for like the reasons that you mentioned, John, and everyone has kind of covered here. In addition to kind of supporting local farms, local economy, it's also kind of supporting kind of human health and nutritional goals, as well as many of our climate goals. So it's really kind of checking many of the boxes that we hope to be doing, and really kind of begins to, it's like a great example of the idea of co-benefits, or implementing things that have like multiple benefits across multiple different sectors and parts of our communities and society. So it's wonderful. I think I might start off with the first question, and you know, I think you all alluded to this, is that it took a long time and a lot of effort to bring this product to market, although by Molly's standards, actually was rather relatively quick. But I guess my question is, what is necessary to accelerate this process and expand it, to begin developing other products so that we can begin to achieve goals like the 50 by 60 initiative? And I guess as a kind of follow-up to that, like, how can those of us in healthcare help?
I'll offer to expand on that. I've done a little bit of product development stuff before, and right, the amount of time that it takes is figuring out the correct pathways. So first we had to figure out which distributor could we feasibly work with that we know that the hospital systems are already working with, because it's really hard to get a product in otherwise. You kind of have to go backwards from the hospital door to figure out the distributor, and then what is that distributor relationship with product manufacturers. So going backwards and mapping that out and ensuring that it was going to work is one of the pieces that took the longest. So as far as that's concerned, and John, maybe you would want to add a little bit more or different, but the willingness from hospital leadership, kitchen staff to work with smaller distributors often, and to figure out how they can manage their food contracts so that they're able to do that. It can be really challenging because there's a lot of other competing priorities on food service staff in terms of costs and labor, and complexity and ordering schedules. But a willingness at the very least to start to figure it out is one of the key things that hospitals can do to facilitate more of these products getting in the door. I don't know if anybody else from either the hospital side or the distribution side would have anything to add to that.
I would agree with Molly. In development, you almost always have to work from the end and backwards. Working out the distribution is something that would be a challenge for a product that could be competing with an existing SKU of falafel or might be priced somewhat higher. So just the fact that that end had been worked out made, my involvement with this all that easier.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but there's a lot of barriers of entry for local food. So you guys just need to provide the demand, because again, they keep local food. It's very hard to get into institutions. So yes, you have to drive the demand. I have my oats in universities, but Cisco won't open PO it. You guys don't even know you could get my oats from Cisco because they won't let people know they have it.
I think that to follow that question up, and maybe this is maybe a question for folks at the Brigham. So can you tell us a little bit about other examples of ways in which you're supporting local food systems while also maybe achieving some of these other kind of nutritional and climate goals?
So I can speak a little to that. I know that we've also been able to collaborate with Farm Fresh Rhode Island, and a lot of the products that they offer are also produced through CommonWealth Kitchen. So one of the recent retail SOPs that was just put in place within the past couple of months was to have all of our accounts have at least 3 locally produced grab-and-go items in their cafeteria. So that's something that we've been able to accomplish through Farm Fresh Rhode Island, as well as some other CommonWealth Kitchen products that are available through Costa. And we're trying to work to further those as well, and hopefully push the demand for more local items on the permanent menu as well, not just in like a grab and go source. So we hope to see more of that in the future. And then I don't know if Peter has any additional insight on that as well.
No, I mean, it's just like everyone was saying, there's a lot of obstacles that people don't realize that go into a lot of this, with being in the hospital setting, with food safety and things like that, and who we're buying from, and what the story is backwards with, just keeping everything safe. And, we have almost 900 beds here, and 5,000 people come through the cafeteria a day, so things are moving all the time. So being able to take that time and have somebody that's going to work with us to bring these products in is a huge help.
Yes, definitely. And I think also, especially speaking to Sarah's point regarding local produce. So something that we've tried to do is implement more events where the culinary teams can build a menu around local produce, which we're hoping to do more frequently in the future. But I know that a struggle that they encounter is when they order this produce, sometimes due to the volumes available or ordering complications, they don't always get access to the local produce that they're looking for through their produce houses. So that's definitely something that we are working more closely with the distributors and produce houses to try to fix.
Yeah, and I could actually speak to that it's growing. So this product got us into, we're now producing through Costa Fruit and Produce with distribution throughout New England. Baldor has expressed interest, which is distribution through the whole East Coast. And this product specifically is starting to start the conversation with Gordon Food Service, who have an interest, and we have not yet sold to them, but that's distribution through North America. So the journey of the pea continues.
I love it.
All right.
Greg, if I can also just
Yeah, go
address,
ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's so key, as Sarah was saying, that your demand is like, or the hospital's demand is so important, right? And expressing that, making it known, through your, write this down, right? Like, so create a policy, use it in your contracts when you're contracting with distributors, food service, etc. Make sure that that's laid out explicitly, that there are goals set around it. If we're at 10% local by 2 years, we want to be at 15% local. So setting those goals, checking back in on those goals. That's you saw this product, how sort of holistic the impact has been. And that's so directly, it's also like so connected to health, economic security from Maine to Boston of different folks, they're able to live healthier lives. So it's like kind of a slam dunk, I think, in terms of for healthcare. So just making those connections, making them sort of codifying them and then following through in terms of your contracts and your purchases, I think is really important, so that Sarah knows that she should grow yellow peas for healthcare. It's all right there.
Great. Unfortunately, I think we are running out of time here. I just want to thank you all again for coming and speaking to us today. It's really kind of an amazing story, so I appreciate it. And then I think we may just want to announce next month's webinar. Clint, if you're able to help us with that. So we're hoping to see you all back next month, where the topic is going to be burning fossil fuels, climate change, and workers, what the clinician needs to know. This is going to be a conversation learning about how people in the health sector can understand occupational hazards and risks associated with climate change, and what we can do to minimize the health effects of climate change on people with occupational exposure. So once again, thank you again to all of our our speakers today. We really appreciate taking the time to do this, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye now.
Thank you.